Jackson Cunningham, but Temple turns it over, and Iverson's out ahead of the field. Tries to get free. Misses the shot. Williams off to Owenji, and the Hoyas run again, 2-on-1. The long We talked about this guy being able to finish. He catches this ball and just keeps going up. Rebound got to Lindsay. 3-on-1. 5-on-1 for the Hoyas. And you know, Dan, that all Dave's getting out before. We saw him Iverson toss the ball to him. This time he gets the ball to Iverson. Iverson not as impressive on the finish. Rebound, Iverson. Bounce pass. Hayes again. That young man is going to score a lot of points in his career if he gets this many dunks. Watch Iverson with a long bounce pass. He has time to load up, and he does. And Page just beats everybody down the court. What a great pass by Iverson. There's some big guys in gray shirts helping that along. Inside, Harrington, the basket and the foul on a great feed from Iverson. Iverson gets the ball and just whips it in there. That's not the no-look pass right there. Iverson looking right at him. It's a fake, and now comes right inside. There's Harrington getting great position inside. Miller loses it. Hates, and Iverson's ahead of the field. 21 for Iverson. Screen by Harrington. Iverson. Safe line.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gold School Retro NBA episode 26, where I'm here to discuss one of the most storied, dopest college basketball teams that I've witnessed, and the team that I was a big fan of, the 1995-96 Georgetown Hoyas. If you guys love college basketball, historical facts and stats, stay tuned, because I'm going to school you on how good they were. And for the people that witnessed it, I'm here to relive the memories with you guys. Stay tuned. The Hoyas were coached by legendary coach John Thompson and boasted the front court of Jerome Williams, Othello Harrington, and Jahidi White. They were very solid up front and at the wing, and they also had a very young, vivacious Boubacar Al. And their backcourt was probably one of the best at that time, with Victor Page, who was a freshman, and Hall of Famer, AI, the answer, Allen Iverson. And as a big Georgetown Hoya fan like myself from the early 90s, man, I followed him throughout his whole career, his whole 2 years in Georgetown, because he took them and raised the ceiling for them because they went through a lot of down years. They were featured by AI, who in his freshman year put up 20.4 points per game the previous season, despite only shooting 39% from the field and 23% from behind the arc. But during his sophomore year, he shot 48% from the field and 36% from the three-point line, including 40 points against Seton Hall and 39 points against St. John's, 34 against Providence, and 30 points against 23-ranked Memphis. And Allen Iverson was doing what he was doing in the NBA game, which would precede what he did in the NBA, was getting buckets, because that's what Allen Iverson was: little, gritty, feisty, and he knew how to take over games. Senior Othello Harrington, which led the front court, had a very good freshman year, but followed by 2 down years because the Hoyas would feature a much more up-tempo offense and they didn't feed the ball inside to Othello. But this season, he uprooted his game. He will go on to shoot 55% and grab 100 total rebounds, just like he did his freshman year. It will be followed by the addition of Victor Page, who was one of the top recruits that season. Victor Page would play in all 37 games, starting in 33 of them as a freshman. And get this, in his first 3 games, Victor Page would score 71 points. Just to show you how good he was and why he was ranked as a top recruit. And I'm talking about in the nation when he finally committed to Georgetown. He put up 71 points. That's amazing. Including 25 points against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. He will go on to average 12.5 points per game for that season. It will have another standout year from Jerome Williams, who was Junkyard Dog, who did everything on the boards, who averaged 10 points per game and 8.8 boards, while shooting a 58% field goal percentage. And get this, he also finished second on the team in steals, right behind AI, who what he was known for being a kleptomaniac. So this goes to show you how gritty and grimy this Georgetown Hoya team was, that they would get it on the offensive end, but it will also be kleptomaniacs on the defensive end. We'll follow with a solid year from Jahidi White, who came on a little bit late but showed a lot of promise during the year. Days after beating Memphis, they would go on to a nationally televised audience to face the UConn Huskies. I remember that game very vividly because it was featured by another future Hall of Famer, Ray Allen, who was held to only 2 points, and they committed 20 turnovers. The Hoyas were stifling them that game, and I remember it because I watched it from beginning to end. And Bubakar chipped in with 11 points and 5 rebounds in that game because he was another solid raw wing. Iverson scored 26 points, 8 steals, and he had 6 assists. And let me tell you something. I remember that one play where he had that electrifying dunk in the arena that was sold out, and I had that crowd rocking. I'm talking about like it was loud as hell in there. It felt like a Madison Square Garden playoff Knicks game, man. That's how loud it was. It was just a lot of commotion and energy, and it was just fun to see one of my favorite non-Knicks of all time, Allen Iverson, electrify that crowd. The Hoyas will go on to win that game 71-65. The Huskies actually were the first team that they beat that was nationally ranked since the 1987-1988 season, when the Hoyas defeated Pittsburgh in 1988. The Hoyas would close out that season defeating the nationally ranked Villanova Wildcats 106-68, which ended up being Georgetown's largest margin of victory. I'm talking about in team history, so these guys were breaking records, school records at that. The margin of victory they were beating. And Villanova was a really good team at that time. Allen Iverson only played 27 minutes that game. And get this, Iverson was still able to score 37 points, 8 boards, and 3 steals. Just shows you the monster effect that AI, the answer, had in that game. Earning the Hoyas a number 2 seed in the Big East 7 tournament and the first round bye. The Hoyas will go on to beat the Miami Hurricanes in the first round. In the semifinals, they will go up against powerhouse Villanova Wildcats, who were ranked number 9 in the nation. The Wildcats were able to get Iverson in early foul trouble and held the offense of the Georgetown Hoyas from 1 for 8 for shooting from the field. So they stifled Harrington, All, and White, and the Hoyas were having a lot of trouble scoring early on. It's not easy to do because even Junkyard Williams couldn't get it going himself. Victor Page, who was a freshman and a lightning rod scorer himself and a facilitator, was able to set up the offense and run it down to the shot clock and give them a better offense and more up-tempo offense, and actually settled the troops in that game. He grabbed 9 rebounds and shot 12 from 19 from the field. Also shot 63.2% from the field while scoring a career-high 34 points. They will go on to win that game 84-76 to advance to the conference finals to go up against, yet again, UConn Huskies and the babyface assassin, Ray Allen. They would take control of that game and actually be up 74-63 with 4:46 remaining in that game. I remember very vividly the game plan was to feed the ball to Iverson inside and run it down to the shot clock, but it wasn't successful because Iverson had a really, really rough shooting night that night. He would go on to shoot 4 for 15 and 26.7% from the field that night, which was a bad night for AI. And unfortunately, Georgetown didn't score for the rest of that game. And I remember they were just trying and they couldn't get a bucket. It was just like, that ball was just, that rim seemed like it was just bigger than the ocean because nothing was going for the Hoyas. And I remember with 13 seconds left in that game, Ray Allen hit an unbelievable off-balance shot while the Hoyas were up 74-73 to give the UConn Huskies the lead that they would never relinquish, and they would go on to win the Big East tournament and become the Big East champions. But the crazy part about it is that even though they won the game, the person that came away with MVP honors in that tournament was no other than freshman Victor Page, who was balling out in that series. And it's crazy because he didn't even play for the Huskies. So to be an opponent on the losing end, to still receive like MVP honors for the tournament is a testament to show you how good of a backcourt that Allen Iverson had with his running mate Victor Page. Only downside to it was that the Hoyas, if they would have won that game, actually would have gave them the number 1 seed. They ended up going into the number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament because of the loss to the UConn Huskies in the final. The Hoyas will go on to beat the Mississippi Valley State in the first round, and then followed by defeating New Mexico State in the second round. Othella Harrington had a monster of a game that next round, defeating the number 8 ranked Texas Tech. The UMass Minutemen were ranked number 1, and let me tell you something, they were a powerhouse in itself. They had legendary Marcus Camby, who went on to have a phenomenal NBA career, and they had Edgar Padilla and Carmelo Travieso. And I can remember Dick Vitale always saying that because Travieso was a really good player too. They had a solid backcourt, and they also had another bucket getter in Dante Bright, who another guy who would get buckets for the UMass Minutemen. They had a very, very solid team, man. And I know when my favorite Hoyas went up against them, I'm not going to tell you, man, I was scared, man. I was very scared because I knew that would be a tough team to beat because I watched them too throughout that year, and they were guns blazing, man. Those guys were phenomenal, man. And in that game, man, the game plan for UMass was to stop Iverson, and they did. They held AI, the answer, to 6 of 21 shooting. And it hurt me, man, because like I was sitting in front of my TV, and you know, as a big Allen Iverson guy, you know, watching him in that Hoyas uniform, it hurt me that he didn't show up that game because I was expecting much more from AI. He did end up with 23 points that game. He literally had no help the rest of the way because he didn't have teammates. His teammates didn't really step up that game, and it pained me to see it because I had them the favorites to win it all, and it wouldn't end that way. Iverson ended up that game shooting 2 for 12 from three-point land and 28.6% from the field. UMass would end up victorious in that game, 86-82. UMass Dante Bright would finish with 17 points and 4 steals. Carmelo Travieso would finish with 20 points, 4 steals, and 6 assists. Iverson would finish that year 7th in the nation in points per game, while averaging 25 points per game and 926 points, which is also why he ended up being the #1 pick in the NBA draft in 1996. In total, while grabbing 3 boards and 4.7 rebounds per game. So it goes to show you why Allen Iverson was so dope and why he ended up being drafted so high. Allen Iverson will go on to have a historic career with the Philadelphia 76 as one of the most explosive, dynamic, undersized guards ever in the NBA. And actually, he was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame in 2016. So hats off to my guy, AI, numero 3, because it was rightfully so and it was well-deserved because he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. I remember him playing with those Philadelphia 76ers teams. They ended up making the finals, and then while they wouldn't win it, just the fact that a small guy like that at his stature with the heart of a lion that I watched as a kid and my early teen years, do what he did in the NBA, it's just music to my ears, man. It's the reason why he's one of my most beloved non-Knick players ever of all time. Jerome Junkyard Dog would actually make the NBA as well. He was picked in the first round at number 26 and had a 9-year NBA career with Detroit, the Knicks, the Raptors, and the Bulls. Big man Jahidi White would get drafted in the second round, pick number 43. They're playing with the Bobcats, Phoenix, and the Washington Wizards. Othella Harrington ended up going in the second round at pick number 30, where he too would have a solid 14-year NBA career. Houston, Vancouver, Bulls, and Knicks, and a stint overseas. And right now, he's the big man coach for guess who? The New York Knicks. That's right. He's a big man coach right now as it stands. So he's still continuing the game. And actually, he was a coach on the U.S. men's basketball team at one point as well. Boubacar will go on to play overseas with the Liga Nacional de Baloncesto de Mexico and was actually a 3-time All-Star over there. So hats off to him, man. Even though he didn't do much in the NBA, he was overseas and actually ended up doing his thing in La Liga Nacional in Mexico Basketball Association. It's a testament to show you that all the hard work that these guys put in, because a lot of them made the NBA and some of them became very good players overseas and they continued their basketball careers. This is going to wrap up Gold School Retro NBA episode 26. Georgetown Hoyas. My guys. One of my favorite college basketball teams of all time. If you guys haven't subscribed already, I suggest you do. Hit the link. And if you guys don't follow me already, Ari Hoops 84. Gold School Retro is also available on Spotify at Gold School Retro NBA and on YouTube, Ari Hoops 84. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button, share button, and thank you for tapping into Georgetown Hoyas 95-96 tribute. Thank you all. Love you. See you on the next episode. One love.